Okay, those at the swimming carnival, missing you. Don't drown. So, when we earn money, we have to take into account taxation, right? So you get taxed on any income that comes in, and that includes if you make a profit on stuff. So if you sell shares, the profit that you make, the government is going to get a piece of tax on it. If you sell your house, right, the house that you live in, no tax. But if it was a second house, then yes, you would have to pay tax. And you think about it, the money that you get from that, if you make like $100,000, well, who sells a house for $100,000? It's a lot more. You're talking you have to set aside $50,000, $60,000 to hand over to the government in tax. Izzy, no typing, please. So, yes, Luke.
Do you get taxed on your superannuation?
Do you get taxed on your superannuation? So that's one of the reasons you do super. So I'm doing salary sacrifice. So whatever my employer is putting into my superannuation, tax-free. I'm putting in an extra amount. No tax is paid at the moment, but when I retire and I want to access it, I will have to pay 15% of everything I've contributed. Now, you might think that's bad, but if I was getting it now, right, so instead of putting it into my tax fund, in my super fund, I was taking that money in my pay now, I would have to be paying like 32% on it. So I'm getting a tax saving, and from now until I retire, hopefully what's happening is that money is invested in shares and it's accumulating money, although very sad the other day the shares went. Can you remind me? I'll show you my superannuation graph. It's fascinating. It goes up, 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 crash, down, and you go, whoa, whoa. Shouldn't look at it really. Anyway, Luke, Izzy, mask, please. Jack, can you go get masks and offer them around, or one of you? Okay, so tax. They're going to keep it nice and simple today for us, and they're just looking at what are our tax rates. They've given you this because it's a textbook. Obviously, they put this as what is correct at the time it was published. You might have just seen me. I've just Googled, and these are our tax rates at the moment. So you youth, you young ones, you can earn up to $18,200 and not be taxed. Who has been taxed? Okay, and you're thinking, hang on, teacher's lying. Well, that's because if you earn, I don't know, whatever 18,200 divided by 52 is, if you earn more than that in 1 week, you're going to get taxed because they're thinking, hey, you're earning this every week. But you don't earn that every week, do you? So what's 18,200? Turning my calculator on. 18,200. Oh, I should have trusted you. Right, 350. So if you earn more than $350 in a week, and you might do that if it's holiday time, if it's, holiday, and you're public, whatever, and you end up getting more, they can't just go, oh, don't worry, you don't get this all the time, I won't tax you today. The law says they have to tax you. Now, at the end of the year, what should happen, is you get a little group certificate thing, a summary, and it will say how much tax you were paid. If you go and fill out a little tax return, you'll get that money back. If you don't, bad luck. The government keeps it, and you only have a certain amount of time to claim that. Like, I think it's up until October. If you don't complete your tax return before October 31st, they fine you if it's late. I know. Obviously, if they have to pay you back money, then they're going to say, okay, don't worry about it. So that's for you guys. That's really nice. Below $18,200, nothing. It used to be $5,000. In fact, I think when I started teaching this, $3,600. So they were really getting a fair bit of tax off people. So low income earners, that's good. If you pay between $18,000 and $45,000, you only pay 19 cents for what's over $18,200. And it keeps on going. So if you can see there, if you're a big earner, right, 37 cents in the dollar, but only over 120,000. Now that's really good because it used to be as high as 47 cents. So they were paying, all those big income earners, they were paying close to half of all the money that they made after $120,000. Now it's come down to 37. Do we think that's good or bad? Better for whom? Yeah, it is. It's better for the rich people. You might be thinking, well, hang on, maybe they should be paying more. Because where does the money go from the tax that you pay? To the government, but to do what? Fix stuff like schools, right? Roads, hospitals, that's right, all of the public benefits that we use. So you might be going, oh yeah, we don't want to be paying too much tax, but then maybe then we shouldn't complain about how much time we have to wait for the hospitals and how long we have to get an appointment, all that sort of stuff. So, you know, so this is the 2021. I'm sure there might be an even more updated one for 22. So they keep changing. And that's when the government wants to earn votes or whatever, or they want to raise more money, these things get altered. Anyway, by the way, who listened to the news the other night? What happens to our tax rates, our interest rates? They went up, and they went up by a lot more than people thought, and they think there's going to go up next month as well. So it was 0.1%, and now I think it's gone up to like 0.3%. So that's a big jump, and they're saying that's going to mean for some people it's an extra $500 that they have to find, depending on how much their loan is. Like it's not easy, but hopefully you have a little bit of understanding about what that all is now. I hope. So we are going to look at, all right, we're going to look at what if we have an income. This is their salary, and then we're going to look at what happens if you earn some extra interest, how much will just be on that. It's pretty simple. You just have to set it out nicely. So can we pop 3E down, writing exercise. 3E, pop today's date. You don't have to write the tax table. That is in your textbook. All right, so $25,000, we look over here. Which tax bracket are we in? The second one. So we go like this. And all we're saying is we're going to pay 19 cents on that. So all we're doing here, we're not actually working out how much tax we're paying on our total income. We're just working out how much tax we're paying on the interest that we've earned, right? Because this person is in a lower tax bracket, all they're going to have to do is pay 19 cents for every one of these dollars. So simple matter, 3,640 times 0.19. And bang, we get our tax. Does that make sense? So, Pippa, you've earned the $25,800. So on your investment, you have to pay how much? 3,640. Oh, turn the calculator on, Ange. 3,640. 0.19, 19 cents, 0.19. 691. Yeah? Jack, he put the same amount of money in the same bank. He gets the same amount of interest, right? But Jack, he had a different job and he earned $64,000. All right? Ruh-roh. It might be nice, but what does that mean for Jack? He is now in this tax bracket, so he has to pay 32.5 cents for every dollar of interest that he has earned. So 3,640 times 0.325. Yeah, I know. I'm just showing and then we'll summarize. No, the moral of the story is not that you get a low-paying job. Oops, hang on, stuff that up. What did you say? Oh my God, what's wrong with me? 1183. What did you say, Luke? Luke's saying you. So, Luke, the richest man in Australia at one point was Kerry Packer. So he owned the Channel 9 News station. He started the international cricket, one-day international cricket televising. He was rolling in it. They say he paid less tax than the average two-person household because he had great lawyers, great tax accountants who could work out all of that stuff. So we'll just do one, but just want to show you how it works. As I said, we used to have to do all of this by hand, but now you just type information in. If you do it online, you just pop, 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 and it'll spit out. If you haven't paid enough tax, then you have to pay back the government. That's why you really want to get your deductions, and so you get what we call a refund, and they'll just lob it into your bank account. And that's so much fun. You go, oh, you're getting all this money back. You love it. So if you keep any stationery receipts, you should give it to your parents because they can claim that as a deduction. All right, who's our volunteer? Ruby, how much are you earning, Rubes? Nothing. Well, then you wouldn't be paying any tax. How sad. Right, so Ruby, how about you are earning $105,000? Okay, so Ruby had interest. So she earned interest of, let's say, $410. She got dividends. So that's when the companies that you've invested in, you've bought shares, they make a profit, they give to you. She got dividends of, okay, let's go $2,600. But now, this is where Ruby is looking. What's your job, Ruby? Rapper? Are you a rapper? Okay. Deductions. Okay, rapper. So, cost in earning her income. What do you think a reasonable cost would be? Yeah. So buying a studio, to think that would not be. Yep. No, so throat lollies, no. So you got to be realistic. So it's not about food you consume. Teachers are allowed to claim sunscreen, the cost of sunscreen, because you have to go out and do yard duty, I know. I can claim the cost of purchasing a school bag. Now, let's be honest. Should I turn off the mic? But maybe one year the school bag wasn't actually a school bag. It was a handbag. Yes. That was hypothetically. Right. So, travel. Now, if Ruby had to go to one gig, just getting to the gig, no. But let's say she had to go from one gig to another gig. Yes. Okay? Travel. Gig to gig. And what you have to do there is Ruby would have to record when she did this travel and have a recording of how many kilometres. If she didn't, she would not be allowed to claim it. Okay? So you can't then just go, oh, I forgot to do that. Can't do it. So let's just imagine, and they then look at what size car you drive, and it would be on that. They do not take into account the cost of petrol, which is a bummer, especially when it went up so much. So let's just say $800 gig to gig. I've lost track of hands up. Mace.
How do you record the
So you've got an odometer on, so how do you record your kilometres? You've got an odometer on your thingy, so you can either look at that and record. So if you're going over 5,000 kilometres, you actually have to write down the odometer readings. If I was going from here to PAC for a thing, I could just Google what's the distance, write that down. that's how the crow flies. So I just add on a couple of Ks.
How do they not know that you're lying? They just don't.
So I have to write down on this date I went to, and if they audit me, then they'll follow that up. I could run the risk and go, hey, yeah, I went here, I went there, and they might not audit me. But if I do get audited, I'm in strife. Yes, Mia. Okay, so equipment. And again, that's your depreciation if they're major assets. Okay, so altogether, I don't know, let's say 5,200. Yep.
What if, like, you're going from one job to another job?
That's what we said, gig to gig.
No, like a different job.
Oh, that opens, so they're going to say different jobs. So this is now a whole new ball game, is if you've got 2 different jobs, the second job gets taxed at a much higher rate. And that's one of the things they're debating about now, is that we're trying to encourage people to work, and yet we crucify them if they have a second job. And so you have to nominate which is your main job, and that gets the lower tax, and it's really hard. Is it illegal to not tax? So I don't think your employer does the taxing, it's the government. So they have to fill out forms and whatnot. So if they pay you cash in hand, nobody knows unless someone finds out, and then, yeah, you could get in strife. You could get in strife, and your boss could get in strife. So that's what we're gonna do that now. Yep. Let's say computer depreciation. 300. Software that they had to buy. Right, so for me, I claim my protection software. What's that called? No. Norton or something? Yeah, all that sort of stuff. Software, 120. Anything else? So again, you can't claim clothes, but what's that? Subscription. Subscription to various fashion magazines. So your job, the tax department isn't going to come and say, hey, Luke, you forgot to claim this. You didn't claim that. Right? They will, though, if you get audited, they will come and go, hang on, what's this subscription for? You're a rapper, and yet you're claiming a subscription for Better Home and Garden. What's going on? That's not right. Okay? So, what we now do is we say our taxable income, we're going to add up all of the stuff that we had money coming in, and then we have to take off all of the money coming out. Okay, so we're going to go blue, take green. Instead of being taxed on $105,000, you're only being taxed on 101. So what would have happened is every fortnight, because this is your regular salary, they would have taken the money out to be taxed on this. So this, because you've done less, hopefully you're going to get a refund. If Ruby did not have any deductions, she would then get taxed on that, and she'd probably have to pay the bank, the government back some money. Yeah? So here we go. How are we going to work out how much tax she pays? So she's in this? Yep. So the tax that Ruby has to pay is she has to pay this $5,000. Do you have an idea how much tax do I pay in a year? About 105. I don't know. 100? 100? For the first 9 years. This is my 32nd year. No, it's the 29th year. So how much tax do you think for about 100 grand? Oh, no. It's about 18. Yeah. 18,000. Goodbye. So you never look at your before tax salary. It's just tragic. So tax, we're going to do that. Plus, we have to pay 32.5 cents for every dollar over 45,000 bucks. So we're going to take our salary here and we're going to take away the 45. Yep. So if you only make $45,000, you have to pay $5,000. For every dollar over the 45,000, you've got to pay 32 cents. So we have to pay this amount, and then we work out how much more than 45,000 have we got, times that by 0.325. Can you work that out, please? If you just had the salary of 105,000, this is how much money would have come out of your account throughout the year. You don't see it. Well, you see it on your pay slip, but you don't really realize how much it is until they give you the summary and they go, this is how much you have already paid, already gone. You then do your tax and you go, hey, I shouldn't have paid $24,592. I should have only paid this much. So, huzzah, you're going to get a refund of the difference of that amount, okay? But if Ruby had not got her deductions, right, then they would have done this tax on the dividends and the interest, and Ruby, I'm sorry to say, you would have probably had to send a check in for maybe 40 or 50 bucks, right? Would you rather get a tax check of $1,000 or have to send in? You want money back. Pardon? You don't want to be a rapper. We could make you something else. The more you know, the more you'll be able to say, and the less likely you will be to get ripped off. Moral of the story. All right, who are we talking to? You do need to make sure that I see this before you go, so you can do it to now, or you can do it, well, by yourself. Here we go. Derek has a salary of 72. So this is going to tell us what tax bracket we're in. He receives $1,740 in interest from an investment account. How much tax must Derek pay on his interest? Okay, so we're not talking about how much he pays in tax in total, just on his interest. So this together, let's check it out. 72, 500 plus 1740, 74.2. So are we happy we're in this tax bracket? Yep, so that's all we're doing. We're just adding that up. So 72, 500 plus 1740. So that gives us the tax bracket. So A, how much tax must Derek pay on the interest? So that is going to be 1740. So basically you're saying, well, after you've taken the tax into account, how much did you actually get from the interest? So you had the 1740, but sadly we shed a little tear when we had to fork over And you actually don't know that you're paying that. It's all in one lump sum right at the end. So like we just did with Ruby the Rapper, you add up all of that money coming in, you take off any deductions you have, and then you compare the pair. It'd be funny if like in 10 years time we look at the music charts or something and we see Ruby the Rapper.
I will not. If you do become a rapper, no. This is the start of your career.
Okay, so reasonably straightforward. So nothing really to worry about, one thinks and one hopes. And what will hopefully happen is we will revise some of that compound interest stuff. So we're revising as we go. Alrighty. Here we go. We get to revise simple interest. Have a read.
Simple interest.
Simple interest.
Does that pay every month?
We're talking about it for the year. Yeah. So do you get that this is now revising your simple interest stuff, and we don't, that's one less thing you have to revise. This is a good thing. Oh, whoops. So those playing at home, I figured number 2 would be pretty straightforward. Just do the same thing and just be aware that for B, calculate the after tax. You just take away how much tax you had to pay from your investment. All right. Then we go on to question 3. Right. It's revising your simple interest. Okay. So simple interest. Who remembers our formula? Yes. Yes, tell me, what is our formula? I equals right. Now, remember, it's handy in a test situation if you can put all your information out. What does the P stand for? Go. What does the P stand for? The principal, the original amount that she invests. So 12,000. What does our R stand for? And what's our time going to be? Sienna? Seem to be chatty. What's our time? Yep. So what am I going to put there? I'm going to put 10 over 12. Well done. Brilliant. Because we remember that time has to be in years. Excellent. Going back to what we just did before. So how much tax will Jill pay? Well, she's got 90,000 plus the 480. So what tax bracket is she in? I mean, I don't even have to work that out clearly. We're in this tax bracket. Agreed? So we're just paying 0.37. So Jill, baby, will be 480 times 0.37. That's how much tax you'll have to pay. I think you can all do the after-tax return yourself, can't you? Yeah.